Hey Jaden, Barry, Six Skills, hey Jim. We're just going to start out with a reassembly that needs to be done prior to shipping out tomorrow. So I'll never seem to have the time to sit down and do these when the day starts in the morning. There's always something that happens during the daylight hours that inhibits me from being able to, well, effectively get these done. If I rush, I can, but I hate rushing. Because when you rush, you have this frustrating tendency of making boo-boos. And I don't really care to make too many boo-boos, especially not on this sort of gear. Right. This is definitely a bit of a slow process. It's the kind of thing that if you did have the option for staff, it'd be well worth investing in training some staff that can assemble and disassemble these machines without doing any damage. Hey Keith, Miles, Arnold, hey Ed, and PR. So a quiet Sunday evening, while I could be playing 7 Days to Die, and while I would actually probably prefer to be playing, some downtime, it's less stress for me overall to get these things done. And I do have a couple of boards I have to look at, and I do have one machine that I am about a week behind on. So unfortunately I am becoming a bit of a slave to the job, but yeah, if you take on the jobs and you say they're going to be ready for a certain time within reason, then it's probably a good idea to try and honour your promise. I mean, there are certainly some circumstances that come up and you have to make an exception. And I think those exceptions generally are accepted by the customers, businesses, etc. if you have previously had a pretty good reputation with them or a pretty good rapport. It's nice having staff. Yeah, it really will be. I need to get the workshop built, the actual real business workshop, but like I said, that's about $60,000-$70,000. And I'm probably going to be hurting a little bit after that. So taking on staff, particularly appropriately skilled staff, may take a little longer than I desired. Hey Travis. Yes, I saw Tim was, I was obviously on there with the Tim stream. I wasn't on there for very long, but it was good to see him still doing the odd live stream. We did have Lewis earlier, driving around and raging at New York. Wasn't really a board repair though. Still, his role is a different one now. It's a little bit dusty, this one. Wow, some dust bunnies just came racing out of there. This was another one that had all the damage down the side. This isn't the Swamp Monster, I've already sorted out the Swamp Monster. But this one had pretty much the same sort of damage, though to a lesser degree. Well, certainly not as ugly. The Swamp Monster was probably one of the worst ones I've actually willingly continued on with. Yes, Paul S really does need to do more streams. What I particularly like about Paul S when he does streaming is he has a good business ethic as well. And like I was watching his video today of uh, the GAY chips, and it was very nice to be hearing him talking about treating the customer's equipment properly and just doing things right and all that sort of stuff. It was nice for me to hear that. Not saying that other people don't, but it's just still nice to have it mentioned. I I also had one of those boards, the 1598s, and it was doing what his was doing, where I'd get about 400 milliamp, 500 milliamp, and you get the periodic fan spin, but nothing else. I changed the chips, the GAY chips, but alas, it still does it. So it's something else on there. Mind you, to be fair, the board that I've been working on, it does have bad liquid damage, or did have liquid damage on the GPU VREG section, CPU VREG section. So I suspect there's a partial death of the GPU in there. I'll give it another couple of shots, but I have a feeling it's a dead one. Lewis does have his own way of explaining things. I think that's the other thing. We all have our own different techniques, or not, and they resonate with different people. And so while there is some percentage of crossover between the various streamers, we all do have our own unique crowd, as it were. Oh, speaking of which, the of older jobs, the 1502 that I thought I had damaged, it turns out that damage was a pre-existing. So I messaged the owner of it, and I was just said to him, "Look, I'm sorry, a light fitting fell on it, and I feel like it's damaged it." And I showed pictures of the damage, and I'm sorry about that. It's not exactly what I consider to be very professional. A bit like the fitting of the lights, and I'll replace that for you, but it's going to take a week or two to get the suitable replacement. Anyway, they were honest and they replied back and said, "No, I'm pretty sure that was actually pre-existing damage. If you check your videos where you repaired this thing, you can see that the damage is actually there on the screen in a couple of frames." And so sure enough, I went along and had a look, and yeah, it was pre-existing damage. Now they could have just gone along with it and scored themselves a nice new second-hand refurbished whatever you can get 1502 2015 screen, but they were honest about it, and I really appreciate that, and I will reflect that in the invoice. Hey, Michael Tritz. Yeah, so being honest goes both ways. Hey, Thomas Alaskan. Sorry, not Alaskan. Aslakan. Sorry about butchering your name there. Hey, Rilla, Toes Tech. But I will say, it's certainly a considerable weight off my shoulders. I was very disappointed in myself. That said, it doesn't change the fact that a light fitting did actually fall from the ceiling, and I got lucky this time, as it were. Next time, maybe not so much. So I'm going to have to revisit how they are attached to the ceiling. I'm not the greatest fan of plaster ceilings or such. When I was growing up, we had solid wood ceilings, like tongue and groove ceilings. And if you put a screw through those, then they generally don't fall through. Hey, Raj. Australians got tired of stealing in the I think you mean the 1700s. Yeah, crap happens, I know. but I believe in making sure I lash myself sufficiently such that I resolve the issue or do something to avoid it happening again. I consider it a warning from the universe. Sort of like, okay, you pushed your luck, we're going to give you a warning, do something about it, and then we'll call it square. I'm getting real sick of putting these ones back together. This is the 4th 1707 I've done this weekend. I will be thankful though that it's not one of the 820 1700 type boards. Hey, Mark Guzman and Kenny Whidden. Ach, niemand, can't put that there. You gotta put the other piece in first. Yeah, like that. Yeah, Travis, I think that's pretty much true of a lot of us. Generally speaking, you're used to no warning, just over the barrel and done. Which is why I am extra thankful that I did get a warning. Should replace the LED lights with LED 60 by 60. I'm kind of wanting to go flat panels more than down lights. I prefer the flat panels due to the ambience. I've just got to find flat panels that can be mounted a little better and actually have a decent output and have a good CRI rating. Trying to find panels with a lot of power output, a lot of lumens, good CRI, good mounting. Yeah, gets a little bit tricky. I may have to start looking at commercial sources. The ceiling fell on use. There is effectively something extremely wrong. Yeah, well, these ceilings, they have somewhat pulled away from the battens. The whole ceiling, this room basically just needs to be gutted and rebuilt. That's pretty much, I mean, when I say gutted and rebuilt, really it is just the ceiling. There's not much else in this room. 60 by 60 is very good panels. What? As long as they don't flicker. Oh yeah, loathe and detest the flickering. 60 by 60, are you talking about like square things like that? 6 by 6 centimeters, or are you thinking of something else? Or are you thinking of 600 by 600? If you're thinking 60 by 60 centimeters, okay, then you've got my attention. I thought you were talking 60 by 60 millimeters. Right, okay, 600 by 600. Now it makes sense, yes. Alright, yeah, for a bit there I thought you were talking in millimeters, and I was like, they're downlights. Okay, now we have a common consensus there. Ideally, I'll get ones that I can run at about, I like 4200 Kelvin or around about 4000 Kelvin. I find 2700, 3200 is too warm, too yellowy. But I also find a lot of them have 5000 or 6000, and that's just too, yeah, it's too cold for me. My eyes do not like it. So like the ones I have illuminating this bench at the moment, they're 4200s. Which really, they're actually just a blend of 27 and 5500, I think. Okay, that's pretty much done, I think. I just got to test that it boots. Because I don't know if they actually do have a, what do you call it? An LED junction that will give you 4200. pretty sure it's always just going to be a blend of two different LED sources. That is the downside of LEDs, of course, relative to other illumination sources, is the fairly weak spectrum distribution. They are getting better. How old are you? If that's not too much, or what decade sort of thing? Because I find I used to love cold white, but as I've gotten older, I find it extremely offensive. Okay, that's running, so we're all good there. Um, Jim, let's see. I'll have a look at that. And Light.com AU, I'll load that up in my other browser and put it into storage there. Okay, squish that down. I just have to take this off because unfortunately there is a sticker on the bottom side that reveals too much information. So I'm still trying to find something that I can use as an overlay layer for these jobs where there's personal information on the back. Haven't had a lot of luck yet. It's sort of like you kind of want a sheet that is basically a post-it note kind of thing. But you want it, the trouble with the post-it note is that it's only adhesive up the top edge. Whereas you kind of want something that's adhesive top and bottom edge, or all around. But easy enough to remove. Baking paper, but it doesn't, I need something that's going to actually stick to the chassis. And that's what I was thinking, your post-it note type level. Oh, I hate it when you... damn screws don't go in properly. Hey Nusakat, morning. I was looking at various types of vinyl, but it just doesn't have that electrostatic attraction to these chassis, which is a bit frustrating because I'd bought some and it's stuck like crazy to everything around except for the MacBook. Those panels are 4,000, 5,000. Okay, so I would get 4,000 most likely. Maybe I would get a 5,000 as a filler, just to push it up very slightly. Anyway, I find, with age that the cooler light tends to become more painful. It could, I don't know if it's genuinely an age-related thing or whether it's just simply me. Maybe a bit of both. Okay. Let's check something. That felt like a double key press. Oh man, this person's butterfly keyboard has gone to hell. On the return key, no less. That's frustrating. The only trouble with those panels, pardon me, Jim, is that they're only 80 with their CRI. The CRI set at 80. I really need something more like 95 plus. Well, it's certainly 90 plus. Excuse me. It does make a considerable amount of difference to the comfort of your eyes. Oh, come on now, boot. Nothing like logging into someone's machine and finding that it's stalling. Oh no, it's just... Come on, come on, come to life. Yay, and touch bar's alive too. That's the other thing I gotta keep. It's frustrating with these new machines with the touch bar, and that you can't always test it without having the customer's information, and the customer doesn't always want to give you their password. So you're kind of playing the gamer's statistics, gambling it. Wow, this thing is really slow for some reason. Everything is painfully slow here, which means I may have a temperature sensor issue, or it's just simply really struggling to come back from whatever it crashed at. Ah, come on. Sorry, I can't show you any of this, obviously. So about this Mac, so it's probably trying to load up 50 different applications. The battery's plugged in, everything's plugged in. It is charging, but the battery's at about 80%. But it's definitely stalling like hell. I'll give it, I don't know, give it 20-30 minutes to try and sort itself out. That is the downside with this sort of level of damage on these machines, is that you can get it up and running, but then you find out once you've done all that work that there's still yet more to go. Okay, we're on Monterey, 2.9 quad i7, 16 gigs. This thing should be absolutely screaming along. But the downside is they have only 90 gigs left of their 1 terabyte drive. So holy crap. Talk about cutting it fine there, cutting it real fine. But just see what happens if I restart it. Restart. Now, as far as I know, everything's plugged in. What is frustrating with these models as well is that it's not by default able to boot into the likes of, you know, my little USB stick macOS, so I can't even really do most of the testing that I would. About the Mac hasn't restarted because Microsoft Outlook failed to quit. Continue to restart and press Microsoft quit. Okay, so it must be doing a billion things right now. I'll give it 10 minutes. We'll get on with the next job in the meantime. You can just sit in the background here. Okay, we've got a 1398 that needs actually quite a bit of work. Let's see. This is a 163 board, I think. Okay, so the battery actually is still pretty fresh. Yeah, okay. Alright, hopefully can still use that. So they've got a Transcend 480 jet drive, so if you do want a painless replacement of the SSD in this series of MacBooks, 1466s, 1502s, that sort of thing, the jet drives are the best option still. Yeah, if you do video work, you definitely chew up space very fast. Like on this machine, I have I think I've got a 500 gig SSD, but then I've got a 4 terabyte storage drive just for the purpose of recording the videos. Okay, this screen is skew. Yeah, okay, it's been knocked or something like that. It's not sitting flush here on this edge. You can sort of see it. So we'll fix that up as well. Hey Josh. Let's check the daughter board. But I get a feeling, I'm pretty sure this one will just fire up and then die. Probably a VRM job. Yep. Yeah, quite right, Miles. Most people don't need that sort of security, and it just inhibits the ability to be able to assist them when things go wrong. Boom. Yeah, but it's still, yeah, it's going to restart. 1.6, yep. Yeah, this is probably VRM related. It's not a guarantee, but we'll get the board out and we'll have a look. Hey John, welcome. Okay, screw there. I don't get very many of these 163 type boards in here. Ow. So hopefully we don't get any. Okay, so the SSD screws in there. We'll take that out. Get these fans out. There was a person on a chat last night, forget which chat it was, but they were asking about, oh, it was mine, yeah. They were asking about the 138 with regard, 1398 with regards to changing the fans. That one's easy. This one's the trouble one, because you've got to disconnect from the Wi-Fi and you've got to get that camera connector out. And the camera connector can be a bit of a nightmare sometimes, depending on how well lodged in it is. And some people can get frustrated with it. And when that happens, bad things happen. The worst or the most common sort of thing is either you knock off the coax crimps from the Wi-Fi, or you tug too much on the camera connector and you mess that up. That's not one you want to mess up. You'd sooner prefer to knock off the coax ones than the camera one. The camera one, if you lose that, you're probably going to be better off just buying yourself a webcam. Was that run from USB? What? 3x, what do you mean by run from USB? Sorry, I think I've missed part of what you were saying. Evil keyboard connector. Nope, not ready to come out. Yep, still got one to go. That is off skew. That's sitting at about that angle there, which is not right. Yep, I can feel it's cross-threaded. Thankfully, only half of it's cross-threaded. Maybe have a software disk error. No, it's not. I use that USB stick a lot. I mean, I know that could lead to it, but I just used it about 10 minutes before I started the stream. I mean, I may be wrong, in which case you'll get to have a loud, hearty laugh at my hubris, but I am thinking it is not the case. Okay, so the keyboard's actually has been replaced or attempted replaced at some point. I'm not sure what the dealio is here, but it's, yeah, you can see it's got tape there. Let's go check something. Not you. Hey, Luna. I do have a keyboard deck here, but I have a strong feeling it is not the one I want. Hey Mimi, what are you doing, girl? What are you doing, you little ginger hag? Meow. Meow. What are you doing? What are you doing? Can't trust that one. Alright, so I do have replacement decks. But I have a feeling this is not the right one. I have a feeling this is a 2013. Gotta admit, I'm actually not sure. Oh man, I don't know. I'm not actually sure how to differentiate between the 13 versus the 15s. I'm sure there'll be a difference, which I'll find out if I start installing this one. Might be worth me just ordering in a 2015 to know for sure. Because this one does, it's got a code 1398 slash or dash hyphen 13, which tends to make me think it's a 2013. Hey David, Davad. I'm just going to check that MacBook that's running slow. Looks like... Okay, it seems to be running a bit faster now. Restart. Restart. Danke. Just going to check its boot sort of time. It might have been doing something like an extended check disk or whatever. Who knows? Come on. Reboot. Ooh, psychedelic colors. There's the bong. Appel logo. I mean, this sort of machine, you would expect it to boot within... Okay, it booted within a second. The one thing that does confuse me with the macOS is that sometimes they will be set up that they boot up almost instantly to the user login, but then when you log in, they take quite a bit of time to actually get you to the desktop. Or there's a scenario where it takes a while to get to the login screen, but once you log in, put in your password, it almost instantly takes you to your desktop. So I don't actually know what the configuration difference is with that. Okay, yeah, this is taking a... I have a feeling the SSD in this is probably starting to feel its age. It's probably lacking new areas to page off to. Alright, let's have a look at this one. I'll just order a 2015 complete deck. I'm not going to bother doing the individual keyboard replacement within that. I mean, I could make profit if I did, but I really, when it comes to that sort of thing, I'm more than happy to not make a profit and just have the pleasantries of swapping it outright. Okay, there's actually a bit of corrosion on that SMC. Fortunately, it's only on the top. Yeah, because this thing is slower than a glacier when it actually boots. Once it's booted, it seems to be okay. But like I said, with only 90 gigs, basically it's at 90% plus utilization on the SSD. I think they're kind of pushing their luck now. Hey Ben Wilson. The VRAM area seems okay. It could be something with current sensing, but I'm fairly sure this is going to end up being a VRM job. In terms of symptoms, it's certainly matching what you anticipate to see. There's a itty bitty little smidge of atmospheric corrosion just there. Yeah, and that would come out with the ultrasonic. Yeah, VRMs. Warren, normal. However you want to define normal, but yeah, we'll call it normal, shall we? Yeah, no idea what's going on with that machine. That's going to annoy me because that was a lot of work to actually get it to even boot. And if it doesn't actually run properly, then yeah, I'm going to have to do the old compromise situation. Okay, let's get these FDMFs off. Oh yeah, well I suppose I better have replacements on hand. Hopefully I've got enough 3030s left. Let's see. We need 3. $67.08, 3030. You gotta be kidding me, I've only got 2. What have I got left? 2. That's so not useful. Okay. Don't panic. Don't panic. I may have something else. We've got the 5820s. Nope, that's no good. They're not going to do the job. Oh, come on now. If I can't find my... I've got 6824s. Do not have enough 6708s. If I can't find it, I'll go dig through my other boards, and I'm fairly sure I've got a couple of dead boards that I tried to do the VRM replacements on, but it turned out it was something else that was faulty and not just the VRMs. Oh man, I can't believe this. This is terrible. Especially considering we've got a pretty big shortage of FDMF VRM type controllers at the moment. Oh, slightly up the creek, Paul. Slightly up the creek. Just a little. Just checking some other boards. Yeah, 4924s. That's a joke. You're right, I'm a little bit perplexed. I should have had a large stash of boards that I could draw from. I'm trying to see where they are. Let's see. What about you guys? Not that one, not that one. Ooh, that stink. The stink of battery leakage. Well, the problem with the FDM 3030s and similar is not so much that I haven't been keeping track, it's a case of no one has stock. A lot of us are still waiting for our orders to be fulfilled. So I think the ones that I got, which those ones came from Mouser, they I got pretty much the last bag of 20 I could. That's why I haven't actually upgraded a few of these boards that I could have, simply because, well, I just don't have any of the V-rigs on stock. I'm kind of wondering though, the ones that I do have there, wondering if one of them might be okay for the job. I just have to double check. Alright, okay. So what I do actually, yeah, it's the component shortage basically coming into bite. So I got 6824s, which I seem to have used. I got 5820s, which I think was a mistake. I'm pretty sure the 5820s were a mistake in purchase. I was going for 3030s and I ended up, yeah, these are definitely a big mistake. They're not even similar. I was going for 3030s and I punched in the wrong product code. And it was like 1 o'clock in the morning and I knew that everybody was buying them up. And I just panicked and didn't buy what I was supposed to buy. So yeah, the 6824, we'll have a look at that. It has the same footprint. That doesn't mean anything. That makes me a little bit cranky too, because I know that probably half of those 3030s went to boards that were not ultimately repairable, and instead of taking them back off and putting them back into my stash, I just didn't. Okay, so 6808. So I'm going to have to do some Googling here. I might actually see if Tim's awake. Basically, I want to see if, yeah, the 6808 can be replaced with 6824. FDM. FDM F24. Boom, 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 boom. Replacing FDMF 6808. Let's see, A1398. How many personal computers do I have? That's a good question. Probably a few too many. Okay. I believe I can search without logging in. FDM F6808. No results found. What a load of bollocks. I mean, I could replace them and find out. Mind you, it is a 163 board, so I'm a little bit disinclined. But like I said, I've bought them for some reason, and I have used half of them, so I get the feeling they must be viable. Hey, Pedro. Yeah, I'm going through the data sheets now. So I've got the 6824. Let's check the data sheet. What? God damn it. Oh, great. Which version of... Oh, I hate this so much when they do this crap where they link to the manufacturer rather than the actual PDF, or the manufacturer used to have the PDF there and then they decided, you know what, we're sick of people reading our data sheets directly. So we got 6824 will do 50 amps or so. Use application, blah blah blah. Where's the freaking data sheet? No, I do not want datasheetpdf.com because that is a load of crap. $67.08. Well, there's a few. There's like the FDMF 3030. There's a couple of replacements that we've gone through. The 3030 was the most recent. For frick's sake. And I think like I said, I'm pretty sure I got the... What? Frustrating as hell. Pedro, they won't be able to drill down in the detail to that point. This is a 6824C, and it is an on-semi. Yeah, the 6808 is what's on there. But, looks like those ones are no good. We know they're not a match. This is the one that we've been replacing on here now. The 3030 is a replacement for the 6808. I'm just trying to work out whether the 6824 was also a replacement. Because like I said, I bought them and I've used half of them. I don't know if they're right though. Oh, it looks like I thought I found a data sheet, but I did not. Most of the time they are just packaging options, yes. Sometimes there are also temperature range options and packaging type options, like whether it's military type ceramic or something like that. I don't like using all datasheet. They're usually plagued with trash on their website. Or voltage ranges, yes. Datasheet. What I don't get is, like, I'm on the onsemi site. This should... Maybe it's a... why do I even have an ad blocker on here? I think it's the ad blocker causing problems. That, or it just doesn't like Linux. No, it's not that. That's just weird. See, if I hover over that, it gives me that address. Let's see, copy link address. Hmm. No, it looks like it's their dead links. So I think the link is good, but where they point to is not. Yeah, because when I tried to... It's a, 215k. And yeah, it's a HTML document, so for whatever reason they're redirecting. So it's a 215 that goes to nowhere. Yeah. Software updater is already... No one cares. That's very annoying. Very, very annoying. Yeah, I'll do the Google look for file name. It's just strange that they seem... Maybe they've gone along and just redone everything. Sometimes these semiconductor places, they revamp their entire website, and then of course they shift all the files. I've tried Mouser and I've tried DigiKey. No luck with either. I'll try Element 14. Although I don't think they stopped this one. Yeah, as expected, unfortunately, Element 14 is a little bit behind the times. Yes, if you try to go to the datasheet, they bring up, they're just linking to exactly the same place. So when I click on it, it's just going to do the same thing. Yeah. Oh, I hate datasheet PDF. Come. What do we got here? Interesting. Alright, thank you for that, Scott. Not sure why it wasn't working up here. Now, I guess the question what we have here is it compatible with the 6808? So we need to have the 6808 datasheet as well. I have a feeling it will be, but I don't like to be too presumptuous. Oh, it's the Fairchild. That's probably why. Yeah, okay, that explains why all the drama. You need the B or the C. Well, I've actually... I think I've got the D version, but they're just current rating differences. So we're going to look at the data sheet on Flexboard view as well. This probably isn't the best match. Let's see, and it's also mirrored. So we're actually looking at this version here. So yeah. But unfortunately, you're going to get the MacBook network names and not VCN, so that sort of looks about right. Over here we should have all the VNs. HS Computer, HS, yep, and they're all right. Pin 15 is an NC, which, okay, ground, 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 ground. Okay. So in terms of layout, it does look sort of similar. PWM, okay, not connected. A ground. Crap. Okay, I suppose what we could do, since I have a few sacrificial boards, what have I got? I've got 7. I can try these on a sacrificial board and see what happens. It's a 3662. Good. Just see what that MacBook's doing. Yeah, it's weird. Once this thing gets started, it seems to be fine. Well, seems to be, I suppose, is a strong word. System report. Yeah, it's still stalling. Here and there. It's not the sort of stalling you would expect to see, like I said, on an i7. Just give me a second here. I'm just going to see if I can install hardware sensors and see if anything's coming up as wrong. It does feel like, you know, one of the sensors have gone off. Yeah, I can definitely see it's stuttery. Oh yeah, kind of helps if I log in. Sorry about this, I know I'm leaving you all in the dark there. It's the price you pay for following the live stream. God damn. Starting to wonder whether this one shouldn't just be classified as a data recovery job. Okay. Well, Miles, on a perhaps slightly less complicated chip, it would be more of a data sheet orientated process. But on this one, it's probably going to be easier for me to do what I'm about to do. A thing to note with these particular replacements is that we actually don't bother doing putting solder down or anything like that. Essentially, it's just a case of extract the old one, drop the new one, and use the old lead-free paste. Starting to tick me off that keeps flying up like that. And I'm running out of board heat. And you just got to wait for it to get to the point where it's just freely moves around. Most of the time we try to get those, most of the time when we're dealing with chips, we take them, damn it, I just got to do this. What am I trying to say? Other than the fact that that's a mess and needs actually a bit of cleanup. I guess what I'm saying is that we tend to stop using the hot air a lot earlier But with these, you've really got to wait for it to get quite liquid and freely move around. Yeah, I'm sort of losing a bit of heat here, unfortunately. And yeah, particularly with these ones, because they've got quite a lot of activity underneath them with the pads on the underside. So if you don't get them down properly, and yeah, they're not bonding properly, it will cause you considerable issues. Namely that the amount of current you need to move will not move. Okay. Yeah, it's one of the few times that I'm actually a crazy flux person. I need to up my extractor. It is a little bit off center, and now it's worse. But once it really actually is ready to flow, it should... There we go. There, you should be able to mess around with it and it will pull itself back, like that one did. Hey, Mr. 90. Alright, this one's a bit of a pain in the backside. And also you need to take that screw out. Also need to wash it. The reason being is that because I am not replacing the solder on them, you really are depending on what's there to be nice and clean, which it's not. Anyway, let's get on with this one. There, if you leave the screw in the heatsink when you do this one, it will just lift it off the board. Things are going a little bit wrong here. No, that's not on properly. Something's gone wrong there. I don't know if I've got something stuck underneath it, but it's definitely not sitting right. I mean, you obviously can see that, but what I mean is it didn't even try to flow back down nicely. Okay, this new Amtech Flux, it actually doesn't like doing this particular job. It gets pushed beyond its happy point and it starts becoming quite gnarly in terms of smoke. So we can get a bit closer to the extractor. And double check that board. What is this, a 3662? Okay, we are orientated correctly. So, you know, that is in the right position, and it has sort of aligned, but it just doesn't feel right. Yeah, it's a 163. Yeah, and the other problem is that, you know, I've got to get this out. That's not going to be an easy cap to shift. Oh, I know what I can do. I was wondering why it was being difficult. Okay, so we just pickled that connection with a bit of leaded. The connector. Okay. Yeah, this is not a fun job right now. I mean, yeah, these are generally always a bit of a pain to replace because of the fact that you're dealing with a tremendous amount of heat. But this one in particular just went bad. I'm just gonna put the board up there to cool off a bit while I check my hardware sensors thing. Gotta say, I'm very glad I have the carbon scrubber, because I would not like to be doing this work without having that on the extractor. I don't know how people can do this kind of work without having some sort of filtering. No, I'm using this is the one that actually smells good under normal circumstances. But what's happening is, because the extreme amount of heat required to get those off, it goes beyond its normal parameters and it starts becoming rather unpleasant. Whereas the other one that I use, it seems to endure higher heat a bit better. I'm just going to leave the extractor running for a bit because I need the air to clear up. But we'll put the chipmunk in and see if we get any sort of CPU activity. Well, we're firing up, so 1.3 amps. That's fairly possibly working. Alright, we've got a green blink, so it is now confirmed that the 6824 will in fact do the job. I'm just installing that hardware sensor package. Oh, this keyboard is so bad. So very bad. I'm genuinely getting the feeling that the solid state drive on this thing is basically almost ready to drop. But at least it will give me an idea perhaps of what the percentage of life left in the drive is. Not always, but I've noticed on a few of the other devices it has. Let's see. Airport proximity is 128. Heat pipe incoming and outgoing 128. Fans are absolutely maxed out. So yeah, this has a sensor issue. Heat pipe in and out. And airport proximity. It's a pain because I'll have to find out where they're sourced from. But yeah, that's what the problem is. It's running flat out. And that's a big fat pain in my backside, because that board is already cleaned up. Okay, let's do the swap of these. This is a slightly different model, but it's basically the same process. some ways I think this one's fractionally easier to work on. Trying to get up real close to the extractor though. And I think I might preheat the board first, like without any flux. Just give it some time to soak the board. I'm not taking the screws off on this one until I get to the end. The metal shield does the job and stops it popping up. Actually, I might be able to get this off without any flux because it's got its own latent flux in there. But then putting it back on, I've got to... Ow! Oh shit, I just burnt my fingers. Okay, oh fuck. The trouble with the temperature sensor thing in there is I don't think it's the sensor that's the problem on the other one. I think it's the communication lines to the SMC, or it's the SMC itself. Ah, what have I done? Damn it, you people making me talk while I'm... Ah, shite. Oh well. I was supposed to take it off without the flux. If you're wondering why I'm jumping around, it's because my fingers are literally burning a bit. Textralian, yes, I should, but the trouble here is that it's not working out in my favor currently. There's what you should do and there is what you can do. Just trying to pick the right orientation for what I want to do here. Because I really, really, really don't want to melt that little sucker. I need a dead weight. Okay. Now, this is where I have to remove the screw. Just trying to heat it up as much as I can before I go dropping any flux on it. Too much flux. Not getting that floating feeling. That did not go well. Now that's too askew. That's slightly askew, but it's just, I think it's still within tolerance. Nice thing is, that connector is not deformed. And now we are left with one, which is pretty useless. Need a few more than just one. Yeah, it's a bit unfortunate. The Wi-Fi got hot. Oh, well, I got a few replacements of that, so I'll just swap that out. I was too busy worrying about everything else. I didn't check for collateral. It's interesting. It blinked green straight up. Okay, well, the board's still alive. Okay. Let's see if we can plug it into the chassis and actually see if it works. Now, where'd that chassis go? Oh, that was nice replacement Wi-Fi. Oh, where the hell did I put that chassis? Pardon me. It's not like it can run away or anything. Oh, come on. How many places? Oh, there it is, right. Yeah, it's right there in front of me. Right in front of my face. And I was like, oh, I can't see. I'm too blind. Okay. Don't forget the backlight. Right, well, we'll put the other speaker in. Let's see if this goes. We'll have to plug it in this side because I haven't plugged in the daughter board. See if it lasts more than... Well, if it can get to the login prompt, then it's a win. Should have gone to Specsavers, yeah. Now, of course, you remember before we did get to this stage, but we just didn't get much further. Oh, what the hell? Oh, have I not plugged the keyboard in? Ugh. My bad. For some reason, I was thinking that trackpad was the king of the keyboard in this one, but it's not. There's the keyboard. Oh, my wife cruising around in the yard for some reason. Probably checking for some nefarious activities from the felines. Creature was one of yours in that? Did you buy one? That is a messed up keyboard connector. Come on. I mean, I would love to get a Tesla 3, but unfortunately they just don't have any available. Mind on the job. Okay, so here we go. Funnily enough, the VRM failure tends to manifest more under low loads as opposed to high loads. When it's in a high load situation, they actually do seem to be more reliable. But once it gets to the low load situation and the PWMing duty cycle is considerably less, that seems to be where they just crash and burn. It's doing better than it was before already. Shit. So, not the VRMs. Well, that sucks. Alright, where's my mem check? Well, that's bitterly disappointing, I must say. Oh, mind you, on this model... Just let me try something here. This wants the genuine 85 watt. It's probably not going to make a damn bit of difference, but let's try. Which one have you got, creature? Which electric car? They removed the instrument cluster. I gotta admit, that is the downside. I think the big downside of the Teslas is their obsession with having everything on a big fat iPad, effectively. I feel like the lack... No, that's even worse. I kind of feel like maybe it actually still is a VRM issue. Maybe we need the 3030s or something. Because, yeah. I don't think it's a RAM issue, but I'm going to test it anyway. Oh, you got the Polestar, okay, yeah. Disconnect trap pack cable, we'll try that next. Certainly on these models the VRMs have to be replaced anyway. Could be that battery it needs to... So VRMs, battery, MagSafe, maybe keyboard. Now this is up and running. So i7 4870. No, the SMC looked alright, yeah. Well, I'm using a genuine 85 watt right now to boot. And certainly the RAM testing is a bit of a pounding. We also do not have fans installed, but that shouldn't be a big issue. Yes, mem test is different, yeah. But I mean, it definitely, yeah, causes a load, that's for sure. So what happens if I boot High Sierra? Trackpad switch to legacy mode to macOS. That's possible, yeah. That's a good point you actually make. Let's see. At least with mem test you can just yank it out. That definitely got everything hot. So the high load situation is not an issue. Those VRMs are doing that job okay. Hey, the Smith. That is the same one as I bought. The screen just goes black partway through the boot. Yeah, I'm usually with this particular sort of fault. This is the VRMs that need replacing. Why is my keyboard... Oh, great. This feeds it back through the trackpad. So the keyboard comes in, gets fed into the trackpad. The trackpad then merges all the data together and then feeds it into the CPU. So we're just going to have to wait for this one. This could also be a scenario where you have multiple causes, you know, multiple overlaying issues. Like we have a trackpad issue along with the VRM issue. Because it definitely booted for longer this time after I changed those VRMs. Yeah, safe mode now. No, just... Oh wait, no, what's it doing? That was interesting. It sort of flashed back up there for an instant, like it was alive. I'll give it another minute. Hey, Nick Basie. I'm not sure whether it's... I actually don't know what it's doing. I think it's dropped completely. What I should do is plug in the daughter board, because that will then allow me to plug in the chipmunk, and if I've got the chipmunk I can see what's going on. Yeah. I should probably put the fans in because it is getting quite hot. Or at least one of them. As per usual, this is turning into more than I bargained for. How very normal. I am going to leave the keyboard and trackpad disconnected. I just want to see if it can actually make it all the way. I know it puts it into slow mode, but you can't see it, but I'll be watching the chipmunk. Yeah, I'm not sure yet, Warren. I do have a Linux boot disk. I've got that one there, that's Ubuntu. But I'm just kind of curious to see how this goes. Like I said, I can see the blinking green light at the moment. Oh yeah, that's interesting. It didn't even go for... That's weird. Okay, I was just in bad contacts on that one. Richard Gaming. So we have no keyboard, no trackpad at the moment. It's not a problem. I'll just get my USB versions though. Okay, I do believe I actually have a chassis for this one though, now that I think about it. So, where are you? Where are you? 3662. I don't know if I've got a 163 or a 36. Okay, so that's booted just fine. No, unfortunately the chassis I've got here is not a match. Bugger. So I've got this one here of my own, but it's not the same board. And you can see the trackpad assembly is different. So I think it's probably going to be keyboard. I suppose if I leave the keyboard disconnected and see how the trackpad alone goes. Oh look, we've got corrosion on the trackpad there. I'll try just trackpad alone. Obviously again we're going to have to wait for it to fall through on its own accord and then pick up that USB stick. It could be, say, maybe the on-off button on the keyboard is being intermittently pulled down. I'm just waiting. It'll come up soon. There we go. No, the flashing... No, it just crapped out, so it's trackpad, probably. Alright. Yeah, doesn't like that trackpad. When it flashed out that folder, I think it's just the contacts in the USB socket are a bit dodgy. This has got a pretty severe kink in it. Let's have a look. There's definitely corrosion there. The trouble is, what value resistor is it anyway? It's not like it's something you can work out unless it is intact. I suppose the way you could find out is to find another one that has this trackpad and test it. I kind of really want to pivot that off. It's just going to short it out, damn it. Not really sure. 4.74, 4.7. Yeah, I don't know what to think about that one. 4.74 is way out of spec for a, well, it's out of spec for a 4.71%. And the 4.74, it could be its own unique crazy value. And as it is, it seems to be functioning anyway, sort of. The thing is, when we disconnected the keyboard, we still had the issue. Ah, tombstone on me, you Well, that's definitely wrecked it. It just lifted that end cap right off it. Hey Crafts, do you know if the Aussie word dingus comes from the South African slang word dingus meaning something? Wouldn't know. Sorry. Not sure of the nomenclature of that one. No, I'd say it's trackpad for this final stage. That was 4.7k, wasn't it? Jeez, right at the bottom. Oh, crikey, I didn't have the multimeter thingy-me-jiggy up. Oh, man. Why didn't you people stop me? That would have been useful before. Yeah, this is not going to be a perfect solder job by any means. It's actually going to rise a little off the side, but it'll do the trick. And that's not the way to do soldering. That's certainly not either. Do not use the video that you've just witnessed in the last 30 seconds as an example of how to solder, because it's terrible. That's probably a hair. Yep, that's a hair. There is corrosion coming out of this. Look at that. Corrosion coming out of that firmware chip. Not sure where it came from, but it's definitely coming out of it. Look at that. That's a messed up storage flash chip. So that's probably why it's not working properly. It's probably mistranslating signals and all sorts of stuff. Alright, listen, it's late, so I think I'm going to have to walk away from this one until tomorrow. Frustratingly, after all that time, I basically have not made any progress towards things for tomorrow, because the other job, I have to find out why those temperature sensors have gone off the scale, and for this one, it's turning into a multiple replacement type job. So it looks like I'm going to have to replace the deck. I'm going to have to, for the keyboard, probably going to have to replace the trackpad as well. Yeah. Yep, fun and games. Alright, well, I'm out of here. Thank you all for watching, I appreciate it. I'll see you whenever I see you. Maybe tomorrow. We'll see. Till then, you'll take care. Catch you later.